I have had my xTool Omni O1 UV laser for about a week and a half now. And the first thing that I wanted to try was a print then cut using my xTool P3 and also the brand new UV printer. Because let's face it, if you have seen previous videos of mine, I do have the EufyMake UV printer. And while a print then cut or a cut then print project is doable, the thing that I didn't like the most is that the workflow took forever. You had to use multiple softwares in order to achieve any type of project. And while it is possible, sometimes the process just got a little confusing. And who really likes to use 3 different softwares to create one project, right? So when xTool said to me that they were coming out with a new UV printer and if I was interested in using it, I said, heck yes. Because trying to make anything easier, I'm all about. If I can eliminate any type of potential frustrations, I'm here for it. And my friends, within the first couple days of me receiving the printer, I was already able to create the coolest teacher keychains, double-sided, UV printed, cut with my xTool P3, 0 frustrations, and I did not mess up, not once. It is wild. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna show you how we easily create a print then cut project with using the brand new xTool Omni 1 UV laser and then also my xTool P3. I will show you what other machines can use the print then cut feature right now. I want you to know that I'm actually kind of surprised by some of their choices that they have chosen. And also please be aware that this feature is still in the beta mode, so it may be different in the future, but just right now, this is what they offer. Let's go to the software. I think I'm gonna blow your mind today. Now, before we get started into the actual crafting of the double-sided print, what I wanna do, because my UV printer has been sitting for about a week, is that I wanna make sure that everything is running operationally good. Everything is running good, operationally, whatever. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to insert a piece of white printer paper on the small bed of my xTool UV printer, okay? If you've watched any of my EufyMake UV printers, you know exactly where I'm going with this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and toss this into my xTool UV printer, and then what we're gonna do is we are gonna do a test print. So inside the machine, you can see that I put the small flatbed in there. When you do that, it automatically notices that I put the mini bed in there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to it. Then what we're gonna do is we are gonna scan. This is going to take a snapshot of what's inside the UV printer right now. And what I'm gonna do is in my cardstock shop Celebration Warehouse, I have this printer test page that I have created for the EufyMake UV printer, but it works just the same over in the xTool software. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag and drop the print test page over into the xTool Studio. So this is what it's going to look like, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna come up here into material and I'm just going to put paper in here at the very top and find one that fiber paper, inkjet coated paper, right here. I'm just gonna use the cardstock setting, whatever this is. I'm just gonna press apply. It shall be fine. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna resize this down to fit onto my piece of paper because you don't wanna print onto the mat. The mat is a consumable product, just like over in the EufyMake UV printer. So you are gonna have to replace the mat eventually, sadly. But I'm just gonna put it right here and I'm gonna use the white and color mode. So after we're done, we're just gonna press process. This is gonna take a total of 8 minutes and 12 seconds to get done printing. You can come over here and press calculate. And what this is it's going to estimate how much ink you're going to use. Now this cost right here, for whatever reason, that might be because they're still like updating their software and stuff, but it's always 0. It never actually gives me a number through all the testing that I've done. Eventually I'm sure they will, but just right now they don't, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press print. Oh, we gotta heat this up. I have noticed this. The last time I went and used this, my machine had been sitting for a little bit. And when I came back, it said the print head temperature notice is below 30 degrees Celsius. I just press heat. The reason why you want to heat them up is because then your ink won't cure if the print head isn't, you know, up to its standard. So I'm just going to wait. It says that it's going to take about 10 minutes. So if you look up here, it says it may take 10 minutes to heat up. Once it's done heating up, then it will start to automatically process. So unlike the EufyMake UV printer where you have to come back and press the start button again, this will automatically start printing. So once this is done printing, I'll show you what that looks like. As long as we don't have any issues with printing this, then we should be able to get to crafting. This is the first time I've ever done this. It's the first time that I have had this printer. I unboxed this printer. I did a load of prints and I did that comparison video about all the apples to apples with the Eufy, with the xTool. And then I had like a family emergency and I had to leave for a week. So I generally wouldn't have done that because I was so excited to play with it, but I had to leave. So it's been sitting for a week. I did some maintenance on it just earlier today. Now we're doing this just to test it out. So we shall see what ends up happening after this print. Hopefully I'm not disappointed. All right, the print is done printing. I have to say, we are good to go. We don't need anything else to do because everything is printing just fine. You can see that the white is different than the actual paper white. So even the white is printing and then everything looks fabulous. So we are going to take this off. I'm gonna put my small flatbed thing back in here. I don't want to use the large flatbed if I don't have to. All right, so I know that this piece of acrylic is larger than my small flatbed, but I really don't want to use the large flatbed because then I would have to pull out my entire thing away from the wall and it's just kind of a pain in the butt for me. So I just have this piece of acrylic. I have taken off the masking tape on the front side only. When I get done printing, I'm gonna take off the back before I put it into my P3, but just for right now, I only did the front side. The reason for that is, one, is that if you don't take off the front, the paint that we're about ready to put on the acrylic will be on the masking tape and not the acrylic. That being said, I'm not going to take it off the back because I don't want the back to get dirty because this obviously has been used and so there's like dirt and stuff on that. But B, it's going to make it easier for the UV printer, like it has like cameras in it. It's going to be easier for it to distinguish where the acrylic stops and starts. If there's something like a color difference, if I take this off, because it's clear acrylic, you won't be able to see where it's at, or at least the xTool won't be able to see it. So I'm gonna lay this into my UV printer, and it is larger, so I'm gonna press this down really hard just to make sure that it doesn't fall off. It is a brand new mat, so it's pretty sticky, so we shouldn't have any issues, but just in case, I've pushed it down really hard, should be good to go, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna press finish. And we're gonna go back over into the home screen of xTool Studio. Now this is where it kind of made me a hiccup because I'm like, where is this dang button? For the longest time, all I did is I just came over here and I like hurried up and pressed new project. But now what you want to do is just take your mouse and hover over it. Don't press the button right away, because what you need to do is go down in there in the multi-device mode. This is in beta mode, okay? So at the time of this recording, this feature is a brand new feature, and anything with beta means that there are eventually going to be vast improvements on the software. So right now, this is how it looks, okay? You're going to hover over this new project and you're going to click on multi-device mode because we are going to be using 2 devices. Click on that. We are going to be doing the print then cut, printing and cutting with the UV printer and also the laser cutting. So make sure and click on that. Apparently they're going to have more scenarios. That's interesting. But we are going to press continue. Okay, this is where right now I'm actually really surprised by some of the selections that they have offering for the print and cut feature, because you get the P3, which is obvious for me because it's one of their brand new models of a CO2 laser. Then you get the M1 Ultra and the S1. And this is kind of where I find to be kind of interesting because they do have the xTool M2, which is newer than the M1 Ultra, And one, I actually like the M2 better than the M1 Ultra. I would think that instead of the M1 Ultra being here, it would be the M2. I'm hoping eventually, because this is in beta, that they will also include the M2 in here, because that would be nice. Also, it would be nice if they had like the F2, like this small little thing that's right here. That would be nice. Or even like the F1 Ultra UV, like that would be cool too. But for right now, we're just going to do the P3 and I'm gonna press confirm. Now, I do not have my P3 turned on or anything like that for right now, just because it is kind of loud. So this is what your screen is gonna look like. Just a little bit different than this right here, okay? It's like over here on the right hand side, it kind of looks a little different, all right? All right, so it is almost Halloween season and I love Halloween. My birthday is in October, so this just makes sense for me. I'm gonna do these cute little ghosts, okay? So we are gonna press download. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna head back into the xTool Studio software and I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna drag and drop the PNG file into the xTool Studio software. So this is what it's going to look like. Now this is only a printable file, right? So what we have to do is we actually have to add something to the software that would be then for a cuttable file, which would make sense because we have a print then cut, right? So what we're gonna do is, because this is only a print file, is I kind of wanna make like some sort of outline. Let's just make a cake topper. I've already done a keychain. It's kind of the same thing. So let's just do a cake topper, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in a offset. So we're gonna come over here into offset and I'm gonna move this out of the way. So an offset is this black line. Do you see this black line? It's gonna be all around here. Now I need to make the offset a little bit bigger because all of these stars and these bats, they would be free flowing. Like if I were to leave it like this, print it and then cut it out on my xTool, every single one of those bats and stars, they would just be individual cutouts. Maybe that's what you wanna do. That's not what I wanna do. I don't wanna mess around with all these small little pieces. So I'm going to make my offset larger. And I'm just going to make sure that there is like everything's connected. I am also going to click this outer shapes button. So if you see that like there is going to be these small little cutouts right here, watch what happens when I press that. I press that and then those go away. So then I can make my offset just a tad bit smaller if I wanted to get, okay, it needs to be as big because I got this one random star that's right here, okay? All right, so once you have your offset the way that you want, you just wanna press confirm. I'm not really worried too much about sizing right now because we're gonna fix the sizing here in a second, okay? Then what I'm gonna do is I am going to add in my cake stick, right? Because this is gonna be a cake topper, so I'm gonna make a stick. So I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna add in a rectangle. So I have this like square box, add in a rectangle, and we're just going to make a rectangle. And then I'm gonna put this in the center of my cake topper. And now what I have to do is, these are technically two pieces. So I'm gonna click on this rectangle. I'm also gonna press shift on my keyboard and I'm gonna click my offset. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up here to combine, whoop, combine. And then I'm gonna press union. And now this is one, instead of having two objects, we only have one. And that line that was right there, let me reverse. See that those two lines that were overlapping? If we were to take this over to the xTool, it would cut them out into actually three separate things. So instead of it being three separate things now, it is now just one. Okay. Now what I need to do is I need to make this smaller because it needs to fit onto my piece of acrylic. So this is something that I did notice that is a little different. I sure hope that they fix this in future because this is beta mode, remember? So don't take exactly what I say right now as like a forever thing because it might change. But right now, if you look and see on your screen, there is no like snapshot. You actually have to go into step 2 in order to do a snapshot. Unlike when we were over here, we were able to do a snapshot and then resize it. We don't have that ability right now. Beta mode, whatever. So what we're gonna do is we are going to make this, we're gonna take measurements. I got a 11.75 by 5-inch piece of acrylic. So this needs to be no bigger than 5 inches in some sort of capacity. So right here, yeah. Now I'm going to turn this around to the side, okay? And we're going to put it down here towards the middle. We're going to be able to change it here in a second, but just like this, okay? All right, so now that we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to select our material. So go to unknown material. I'm going to use acrylic, so go down to acrylic. And this right here is going to be the 183 millimeter clear acrylic. So I'm going to press apply. All right, it tells me to take off the masking tape. I already did that. Okay, what we need to do is for the print, you can change your color options if you want. So right now, it is only going to do a layer of white and then a layer of color. So remember when I showed you these keychains right here are really cool and they're double-sided. So we have color on here and color on here. The way I did this was to do color, white, and then color. So you can see it through here. Now, if you are using some sort of acrylic or even wood that's not transparent, then you would not want to do 2 layers of color, a color, white, and color, because you wouldn't be able to see it on the other side. However, because I am using clear acrylic, I want to be able to see the color on both sides, just like this keychain, right? So coming over here, instead of white and then color, I'm going to do white, color, white, color. So I love that they give you demonstrations on what that means. Like that is so cool. So essentially what we're doing is we're going to do a layer of color, then a layer of white and a layer of color. The reason why I am not doing just color is because if I did that, it would be translucent. Is that what it's called? You wouldn't be able to see it. Unless you held this up to a white background, you'd never be able to see it, okay? So white, color, white. I'm gonna leave it as 1 layer of all the things. You can change it, but I'm gonna leave it. But then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click out and I'm gonna come up here to my outline, and this is where I need to change the device. So do you see this where it says assign to device? I'm gonna click on that and I'm gonna do the P3. This is where you can change your settings. So right now it's set to cut, or I'm sorry, now it's set to score. I need to change it over to cut because I want to cut it out. Now this is where you also get to change your cut settings if you need to. I'm just going to leave them like this. That's fine. I think that those are okay. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to continue into step 2. Now that we go to step 2, oh, let's switch this to automatic. Hello? Where'd you go? Oh, right here. Okay, we're going to drag this up here. And we clearly need to make this smaller. So then what we have to do, this is kind of where it's like, I really wish that they would just put these 2 together, because now what we're going to do is we're going to go to return to design, and we are going to make this smaller. And then we'll go over here into continue to step 2. Now we're going to press scan. I have to say, although I have pressed a ton of buttons and I had to go back and forth between the 2, it's a lot easier than doing it the old way with the Eufy. So I can appreciate this new workflow. I do think that it will get better over time because this is in beta mode. Oh, and I did forget to tell you, we press capture. What it's doing is it's taking a live preview of what's inside the xTool O1 Omni printer right now. So then we're going to be able to make sure that our print is going to print on that acrylic, just like what we did with the test print that we did earlier. Okay, now that we have that, you're going to be able to see that we have our print. Do you hear this? This is a new noise that it just made. I've never heard that before. That's kind of scared me. Whoa. Okay, so I'm kind of hoping that noise goes away. I'm going to try and pretend like I don't hear it. So if this print was still too big for our snapshot, what you could do is go back. Okay, the noise is gone. You could go back to return to design, and you could make this smaller if you needed to. So we can just make this smaller. You would go back to step 2. Then you would do this. Okay. Then you would drag this back up here. So it's still in beta, my friends. It's not, okay? So let's just pretend like this is what we want to print. It's gonna end up looking good. Okay, so we're gonna print this, all right? You can adjust this if you need to. I'm not going to. You can mirror it if you needed to. I probably should have when I did the keychains, but I didn't. Just leave it alone. Okay, we are just gonna press process. This is gonna take a total of 12 minutes to print. You can press calculate just like before, and it gives you how much ink consumption that you're gonna be using. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna come over here and you're gonna press start. Now this is gonna start printing. And just like before, you're gonna be able to see it print up through here, which I love. Okay, so the print is done printing. I have to say, oh, hello. It's definitely stuck on there because the mat went with it. But look at how well that turned out. Ah, so cute. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take off the masking tape off the back of this because technically you don't need the masking tape on your acrylic when you're using the xTool P3. Unlike different lasers that I've had, you have to use the masking tape when cutting acrylic. With the xTool P3, they actually suggest that you don't use masking tape. I'm gonna call it good enough. I'm over peeling masking tape. If you know, you know. Peeling masking tape off lasers, off of acrylic for your lasers is not a fun job. So I'm gonna call it good. I am going to take this. I already have my xTool P3 plugged in, turned on, ready to go. I'm gonna add this into my xTool just like that. I'm gonna wait for my light to turn green. It's green, so I'm going to shut the lid, nice and swift motion. All right, so my xTool P3 is doing its automation cycle, so I am going to press next on my computer. Now I need to connect my machine because apparently it didn't connect. All right, we are ready to go, okay? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna press this auto alignment button. It's reading those registration marks, and do you see what just happened? The cake topper, the cut lines were over there on the left-hand side, and now it's been brought up. It is really one of the coolest things about this is I actually don't have to do nothing besides press a button. And it's already like, if we zoom in, you can see my print is all through here, and my cut lines are perfectly centered inside that print. Looks great because those these like little target dots, that's the registration mark. So if you're used to like a print and cut with a Cricut, you know how the Cricut prints like those little L brackets? These little dots, these aiming dots, is the same thing over in the xTool, but the UV printer printed it so my xTool P3 can read it, okay? Now what we get to do is we get to press process. This is gonna take a total of 31 seconds to get done cutting. I'm gonna press start. Over at my xTool P3, what I am gonna do is turn on my air assist fan. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press the happy button at the top of the machine, and this is going to do its cuts. Now I do love the xTool P3 because we get a picture of what is inside. This is a live picture. Ooh, apparently now we get a recording. How fun. Let's do a front. Oh. I can't do a front one because I'm currently recording. Oh, let me stop that. Oh, it's already done. It's so fast. Ah. All right, so I'm gonna just take this down. Ooh. Okay. And then we're gonna open this up, flip this out. I needed better cut settings for my xTool, but like, ta-da! Look at that. How cute. One really cute cake topper made all with one software, 2 machines and 1 software. But I love the fact that it made it so much easier, because if you've seen the print and cut projects that I have done with my P3 and my EufyMake EV printer, I'm sure it's definitely a doable thing, right? I've showed you how to do it, but like, isn't it nice just to be able to do everything all on one software now? The world is your oyster, my friends. We just have to open it up. I can't wait to keep crafting with this thing because there is so much to do. And the rotary feature, I actually already did a tumbler in the rotary, but when I was watching when I was reading the pamphlet, there's something very interesting and very different with the xTool rotary feature for the Omni that I can't wait to show you. It's gonna be epic. I'll see you next time.